I said at the funeral that I was touched to be invited to officiate today. Today, that was on Friday. And I'd gone to my paper archive of the records of Max's funeral. And here it is. Max Wainshtein. The funeral was at 10 in the morning on Tuesday, the 22nd of January, 2008. In those days, I wasn't yet typing the family map into Excel. I was drawing it by hand, and here it is. Now I type it, and I have my handwritten notes from that service. And it's always reassuring when your system works and you can go to the family prepared to the extent that you can. But what was deeply touching in the back of the folder were these things. And I hinted at the funeral that I had something special, which I do. They relate to the 5 grandchildren who at Max's funeral were all primary schoolers, but who today are young women. And when we get to that part of the service, I have a surprise for you. In the meantime, Shabbat having paused the Shiva process, we are well back into Sunday, a weekday in the Jewish calendar, and so we will follow the weekday service in the booklets that you have in front of you. And for the non-Jewish members of the family, please go to the back of the book, and for the Jewish members of the family, we go to the front of the book, which is on the other end. We are very happy to welcome you all. And we commence on page 2 with the weekday service. Aravit Lachol. We are called into life, destiny uncertain, yet we offer thanks for what we know, for health and healing, for labour and repose, for renewal of beauty in earth and sky, for that blend of human holy which inspires compassion, and for hope, eternal promising light, for life, for health, for hope, for beautiful, bountiful blessing. All praise to the source of being. We read together, Baruch atah Adonai, Makor Nefesh Kol Chai. Turn the page. Invite you to stand for the call to prayer. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Turn the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עיתים, מחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. מעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. That's the prayer for eventide, and because it's winter, the evening comes in early. On page 8, please. We read together in English. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, eternal our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. Never remove your love from us. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. And the Shema is on page 10. We say together, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. We read the Hebrew at the top of page 11. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha beveitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, v'shoch uvkumecha. Kshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, v'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvish'arecha. Please turn the page. On page 13 in English, the Eternal One said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall all God's commandments and observe them, so that you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urges." And we turn the page. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are the sovereign and Saviour who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices in this joyous song on page 16. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, malachotecha ra'u vanecha, pokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zeli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar yifada Adonai et Yaakov uga'alo miyad chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. On page 19, we read together, "Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal One, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, shomer amo Yisrael la'ad." Please stand for Chatzi Kaddish on page 20. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash me'rabah, ve'alma divrach hiroteh, ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yom echon, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לאלה מנקור ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו Amen. The Amidah begins on page 22. We will remain standing for those who can. Annie, if you'd like to be seated, you can. We will chant until the weekday blessings, which will begin on page 32, and then we'll switch to English. Adonai svatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 24. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor ve'hanora el elyon, gomel chasadim tovim ve'koneh hakol, ve'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. 26. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, מקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים. Page 28. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללוך סלע, Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We continue on page 32 in English. You grace humans with knowledge and teach mortals understanding. Graciously share with us your wisdom, insight, and knowledge. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who graces us with knowledge. Return us to your Torah and draw us to your service, and in complete repentance, restore us to your presence. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who welcomes repentance. Forgive us, for we have sinned. Pardon us, for we have transgressed. For you pardon and forgive. Blessed are you, Eternal One, abounding in forgiveness. Take note of our affliction and make our struggles yours. Redeem us swiftly for your name's sake, for you are the mighty Redeemer. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who redeems Israel. 34. Heal us, O God, and let us be healed. Save us and let us be saved. Grant full healing to our every illness, wound, and pain. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who heals the sick. Bless this, our year, and its abundant harvest for good. Grant blessing throughout the earth and satisfy us with your goodness. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who blesses the years. Sound the great shofar to proclaim our freedom. Raise a great banner for the oppressed and let the voice of liberty be heard in the four corners of the earth. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who redeems the oppressed. 36. Pour your spirit upon the rulers of all lands, guide them that they may govern justly, and may you alone rule over us in steadfast love and compassion. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who loves righteousness and justice. And for wickedness let there be no hope. And may all the errant return to you. May the realm of wickedness be shattered. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose will it is that evil shall vanish from the earth. Toward the righteous, toward the pious, towards the leaders of your people Israel, towards those who choose sincerely to be Jews, and toward us all, may your tender mercies be stirred. O God, grant a good reward to all who trust in your name, and number us among them forever. Blessed are you, Eternal One, the staff and the stay of the righteous. Top of page 38. And turn in compassion to Jerusalem, your city. May there be peace in her gates, quietness in the hearts of her inhabitants. Let your Torah go forth from Zion and your word from Jerusalem. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who gives peace to Jerusalem. May truth spring up from the earth. May justice look down from the heavens. May the strength of your people flourish through your deliverance, for we continually hope for your salvation. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who causes salvation to flourish. Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hear our voice, Eternal our God. Have compassion upon us and accept our prayer with favour and mercy, for you are a God who hears prayer and supplication. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who hearkens to prayer. Page 40. Find favour, Eternal our God, with your people Israel and accept their prayer in love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your Spirit upon us. V'techezena enenu b'shuvcha leTzion berachamim. Let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato leTzion. Let our eyes behold your loving return, and blessed are you who resides with Zion. Top of page 42. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך על חיינו המסורים בידיך ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו ועל נפלאותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, מעולם קיווינו לך. ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו, תמיד לעולם ועד. וכל החיים יודוך סלע, ויהללו את שמך באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות. On page 44. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. A moment for silent contemplation on pages 46 and 47. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני, צורי וגואלי. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. Please be seated. We turn from prayers that would be routine for those who regularly pray to the specific needs of the mourners who are assembled here in the front row. to their loved ones, cousins, friends, and a wonderful support group for the grandchildren. Now, I'm also going to take a moment looking up to the streaming to say that I hope the great-grandchildren in the UK have had a chance to spend some time talking about Dolly, because they haven't really had the chance to build the same relationships by virtue of distance. And they are young still, and about the same age, maybe Riley a little younger than the youngest was when Max passed away. But I'd just like to pause and say to Zach, Mason, Carter, Harper and Riley that if you had been here, what's about to follow would be very familiar to you. When your cousins, and we're not going to get into whether they're second cousins, but when your cousins were the age that you are now watching us in the UK, and I spent time with the family, I invited them to do some kind of a tribute at the Minyan, not at the funeral, that's too hard. But by the time the evening of the funeral day rolls around, the hardest thing that everybody doesn't want has already happened. By the time the funeral has happened during the day, there's a kind of, well, we got through it somehow. And there's an opportunity to reflect on the day and to make sure that we don't miss out on the voices of the smallest members of the family. I'd just like you to see this, and girls, I've scanned it, so I'm keeping a copy, but what I'm handing back to you is the exquisitely penned A3-sized poem that you wrote to share at the Minyan last time. I'm going to give it back to you so you can look at it and see what it was like to be a small person saying goodbye to a precious grandfather. And because you had that experience, you have some little idea of what it must be like for Auntie Shaz's grandchildren to be sitting in London, far away from the rest of the family. And that's not an easy thing either. So can I invite the 5 granddaughters who are now adults? It's only for internal consumption, only for people that love this family. Would you turn around, stand up and turn around and look at the camera that's right there and greet your cousins in London? The camera's underneath the telly. Thank you. And just to prove that you were little, when you were coming to do your tribute, you had a special arrangement to make sure you get the order right. I don't know who did what at this point, but I want the 5 of you up here. Someone's going to hold Z for Zeta. Someone's going to hold A. Come on, up you come, because you've all got something to do, right? Come on, up you come. I, D and A. And these are in the original glitter pens. They are the actual documents that the girls prepared when they were so tiny. Now, I have an impression that the adults think they're speaking first, but actually I'd really like you to speak first. So I'm going to get out of the way. Have you got your speeches with you? See, that's what they did at the other Minyan. You don't remember? Well, there it is. So have you got something special to say tonight, or are you leaving it to the adults? All right, this is your moment. Do you want to get them, or have you got them? All right. So while they're getting themselves ready, as we've spent some time getting ourselves ready to welcome them up, come up. I'm just going to invite everyone to get focused on this task of the grief that propels these wonderful tributes. And I can tell you, most of the people at the funeral couldn't see the faces of these gorgeous young women on Friday, but I could. Lots and lots of tears. So as we approach the mourning of those immediately bereaved who are going to speak shortly, let us all get ourselves ready for that experience by reading on page 61 in the English. And the mourners don't read this. We are reading this to you as an acknowledgement of how you find yourselves as a family, surrounded by dear, dear friends who have concern for you. We read together. We are assembled with our friends in the dark shadow that has fallen on the family. We raise our voices together in prayer to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our homes. To whom should we look but the Creator of light? We need strength and courage when pain and loss assail us. Where will we find them? If not in the thought of the one who preserves all that is good from destruction. And this is hard to read because I know that you were recently bereaved of your late husband. And yet, we are blessed if we've never yet passed through trials and bereavements. Some bear fresh wounds in their hearts and therefore feel all the more keenly this kinship of sorrow. Others whose days of mourning are more remote still recall the comfort that sympathy brought to their sorrowing hearts. Our rational minds know that all things pass. Emotionally, though, it is so hard to accept that all lives must die. All that we prize is but lent to us, and the time comes when we must surrender it. We are travellers on the same road that leads to the same end. It is a blessing in this family to have so many voices to continue the story. Now, I'm going to turn my microphone off.
Hold it. I'll hold it. Yeah.
Nana's life was a beautiful mix of love, laughter, and a dash of mischief. She wasn't just any Nana, she was the best and filled our childhood with so many beautiful and funny memories.
Our Nana and Zeta were ever present in our lives, always attending our dance concerts, school assemblies, grandparent days, and frequently helped with school pickups and babysitting. We loved visiting their house and spending time with them. It was always filled with food, fun, and laughter. Remember playing in their backyard, a kid's paradise, filled with lemon trees, bird feeders, and fake snakes to scare the birds and us.
We were frequent customers of Nana's large sweet collection. Every visit was marked by an invitation to indulge in copious amounts of sugar in the form of jubes and boiled candy, lovingly stored and reserved for her grandchildren, taking up an entire kitchen cupboard. One of our favourite memories we'd like to share is the many sleepovers we enjoyed at our grandparents' house. We fondly remember going for walks with Zeta, riding our scooters up and down the street while Nana prepared dinner. Nana's cooking was something we always looked forward to, especially her creamy pumpkin soup and corned beef. When sleeping over, we would conclude the night by staying up late, enjoying Milo before bed in front of the TV. A simple pleasure, but one that we weren't allowed to have at home. The next morning, we would be treated to more Milo, schlugen eggs, and our favourite, fried wurst. We always went home full and excited for our next sleepover. As we got older, sleepovers turned into bagel lunches on a Friday, followed by gin and tonics before Shabbos dinner. We would sit around the kitchen bench talking and laughing for hours.
Nana was the epitome of style. She rocked a different coloured cardigan every day, paired with nice skirts or slacks, pink lipstick, painted nails, clip-on earrings, and a perfect perm. When we travelled overseas, she'd always request we keep an eye out in case there were any nice tops for her. If Mum picked them, Nana would politely take them, but if Auntie Cheryl did the shopping, it was always a fashion hit. In her previous aged care home, Nana was known as the Queen, which reflected her sharp mind and vibrant spirit. She was friends with lots of the staff and loved showing off her granddaughters when we would come visit. Just as she used to have at home, she would always have a fully stocked basket filled with chocolates or lollies to give to the staff or visitors whenever they would stop by. Nana would also attend all the musical performances, quizzes, and bingo games, which she would always win, and had a hidden stash of chocolate prizes in her walker to show for it. Nana's room was filled with lots of tchotchkes. She had many trinkets that she'd collected over the years. Every Friday, we would take her to the hairdresser, enjoy lunch together, then head to the supermarket to stock up on different delicacies, including a variety of dips, cheeses, and meats for her small fridge. She loved offering us a taste of whatever she had stored, and I'm sure my love for savoury foods come from her. Nana was, by far, the most tech-savvy grandma I had ever met. She had a tablet and knew how to use it well, sort of. She was a social media queen, scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, and even made video calls to her family in the UK. Of course, this meant I frequently played the role of tech support. I lost count of the number of times I had to rescue her from a frozen screen or mysteriously vanishing apps. She'd often ask us to take photos of her to post online, striking poses and making sure she looked fabulous.
Nana loved all the furry friends in the family. Her face would always light up when we brought in Poppy and Polo to see her. She adored their company and also cherished our late Labradoodle, Chino, who was an expert at stealing Nana's tissues from her sleeve. More recently, Dev and I drove our puppy Maisie down from Sydney to meet Nana, which was very special for us all.
We feel so privileged to have shared so many amazing memories with our Nana and will forever hold them close to our heart. Rest in peace, Nana.
You will always be loved, remembered, and missed. Okay. I have a soft voice. Yeah. Nana, you were a very special lady that I had the pleasure of having as my grandmother. I love you so dearly, and I will cherish you in our memories forever. From you nearly blowing away in the wind one day when we went to lunch, the wind was so strong, or when something was wrong, your advice would be to simply go put some makeup on or do your nails or your hair, and I would feel instantly better, all would be fixed. We had fun stirring you up, telling you things that were never true, but you would believe them, and would leave you then shaking your head at us and calling us all Michiganers. Scaring you on occasion was also quite fun. Even simply having some tea together was always a lovely time with some chocolates. Family dinners as a child were always a treat, especially summer barbecues in your beautiful garden, the sweets you would always have out for us. I still have a big part of you in my father, which I'm also grateful for. I will have to stir him up more now, as he is as gullible as you. Sorry for breaking your heart 10 years ago and converting to Collingwood, which you would at no means ever accept and always told me, no, that's just not true, as well as straightening my hair as you would get very upset at me as you loved the curls. I am so grateful that I got to have 27 years of you, always
You always harped on about how you would always be here forever, or until at least 100. Well, you didn't miss the mark too much, did you? I'm going to miss your presence, your smile, your sense of humour. Your warm hugs. The cheeky questions you would always ask Alan, leaving him unsure how to appropriately answer while still being respectful. It's going to be strange without you. Rest peacefully and give Zeta a big hug for me. I love you, Nana.
I'd just like to say thank you, everyone, for coming tonight to farewell our dear Nana Dolly, Minnie, Berkowitz, Queen Dolly, Princess, however you remember her. It does mean a lot to our family. I just want to start off by that. I've gone a slightly different route. I've just created a poem. There's so much that's going to be echoing about Nana tonight, and a lot of it's already been said, but yeah, here goes. Dearest Nana, as you are now at peace with your one true love, I have a short poem I'd like to share with you all. Thank you for the past 29 years of memories that will last. Your unique, witty character won't ever lived in the past. Always a crowd pleaser with your entertainment skills, your bluntness and your sense of humour encapsulated many thrills. An impeccable dress attire that always made you look like a queen. One could say you could have made a lovely figurine. Precious memories going to the footy together, you, me, Dad, and Zeta. Every half time you had never failed to deliver a goodie bag filled with sugary treasure. The many hilarious phone calls we shared together, I'll miss the most. Alongside the visits, you still lived up to be the host. I will miss you dearly. I will miss dearly being able to ring, see, or tease you, but I will rest easy now knowing you are at your peace on your final cue. I love you so much, Nana. I am sure you are now enjoying time with Zeta in a large, beautiful manner. Rest in peace, Queen Dolly. I hope our mighty Blue Boys can finally deliver us our 17th premiership in your honour. I would like to also end in one of my favourite memories and favourite things to do was to take off my other grandma in Maltese. I had many, many calls that it would be me, then me with a Maltese accent, and she would just go on about it. And if it's okay, I would just like to do 10 seconds of it. It might sound strange, but I'm just going to go for it. So the phone would ring, and mind you, I couldn't get off the phone. The phone would ring. Hi, Nana. Hi, Tasha. How's it going? I'm good, Nana. How's work going? Yeah, it's going good. It's good. How's Rose? Oh, hang on, wait 1 second, Nana. I'm just going to get her. Hello, doll. Hello, how are you? Hi, Rose. How are you? I'm going well. How are you? Oh, not good, doll. You know we're old. What can you do? All right. I'll put you back onto Tasha. Okay, no worries. Then I'll jump back in. Literally, I don't move. It's me. And it was just something like that. It was just so silly, but it was just hilarious. And then, as we've all alluded to, she just believed absolutely everything. So you could say whatever you wanted, but that was something that I just wanted to do. That was, yeah, it was just a thing, and I could never end the phone call as well. But yeah, that was all. But I love you so much, Nana, and also give a massive hug to Zeta for me, and we know that you're at peace. Thank you.
I don't know how to follow that up. That was a mistake going last. Yeah, I thought I'd be crying, but you made me laugh now, so... Okay. Sorry. Today we celebrate the life of a woman who was a dedicated mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and sister, the roles that she played unapologetically. I am grateful to have had such a strong relationship with Nana. She was always interested in my life, even if that meant she wasn't happy with how I styled my hair, or absolutely horrified at my plans for piercings and tattoos, which clearly it worked, Nana. Nana was not afraid to voice her opinion, and this was one of the things that I will miss most about her. Although there were some hard times over the years, there were many good memories that I will always cherish. Nana, you loved all of us unconditionally. You showed compassion and always had a vested interest in your grandkids' lives and your grandkids. You are the reason I have a brilliant dad who mirrors your love for his family and is a permanent fan of the Navy Blues. It is evident that you were a fantastic mother who raised 3 loving children and supported them as they grew their own families. And of course, continuing the legacy of going for Carlton, which has been a roller coaster of emotions. Although you lost Sim to the dark side, aka Collingwood, Tash and I will continue to support Carlton with Dad. I will miss your unfiltered opinions, no matter how blunt they were, and your witty sense of humour. I will delight in our many conversations about the footy, kind of bagging on Carlton in fits of frustration. I am sure Zeta welcomed you with open arms and a bit of trepidation because, well, your bossy nature will no doubt reignite his nostalgia. But I am sure that being with you again is a highlight. Nana, until we meet again, I love and miss you so much, and it gives me comfort that you are finally at peace. When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. And we all will revel in our memories of the extraordinary woman that was Dolly Wainshtein.
How is it possible that none of the adults in the room got older in the last 14 years, and yet somehow the grandchildren got older? One of the challenges of not having a paper archive anymore is that those wonderful speeches will disappear unless you share them. So can I just invite everyone that's prepared anything around this passing to make sure that you've circulated it between yourselves, and definitely those speeches deserve to be preserved. Thank you very much. Before we invite the adults to come and close the tributes at this evening's service, let's go back to the prayers in the house of mourning in your booklets, beginning on page 62. Adonai ma'adam v'teda'ehu ben enosh v'techashvehu. O God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We're like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to revert to dust, saying, "Return, O mortal creatures." Would that we were wise, and we understood where we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright, they shall have peace. God, you redeem the soul of your servants, and none who trust in you shall be desolate. We turn the page. I read Psalms 23 and 121 at the service on Friday. Let's continue on page 66. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid ki mimini bal emot. I'm ever mindful of God's presence. God is at my right hand, I shall never be shaken. So my heart rejoices, my whole being exults, my body rests secure. For you will not abandon me to Sheol, or let your faithful ones see the pit. You will teach me the path of life. In your presence is perfect joy. Delights are ever in your right hand. The poem, translated on page 67, is a contemporary Hebrew poet by the woman poet Zelda seems an appropriate choice for such a vibrant woman as Dolly to read something written by a woman. Let's read together at the foot of page 67. Each person has a name. We each have a name given by God and given by our father and mother. We each have a name given by our stature and smile and given by our attire. We each have a name given by the hills and given by the walls. We each have a name given by the stars and given by our friends. We each have a name given by our sins and given by our yearnings. We each have a name given by our enemies and given by love. We each have a name given by celebrations and given by our work. We each have a name given by the seasons and given by our blindness. We each have a name given by the sea and given by our death.
Thank you. Those of you who attended Mum's funeral on Friday know that I delivered the eulogy. So I'm not going to repeat it tonight, but want to read two pieces that have been sent to me by my son and daughter, Rachel and Ollie. Right, where do I start here? Okay. Mum, Auntie Kazzy, Uncle Mark, my great Auntie Annie, my darling cousins, family and friends, and most importantly, my darling one and only Nana Doll. Although we didn't get to see you every day or every week or very often at all, I will forever treasure all the times we did get to spend with you. I am so grateful that you got to meet Lee, Zachy and Carter, and we will cherish the memories and photos we have with the time we spent with you when we came to visit Melbourne with them. You were so proud to show us around a city. You were so proud of all of us and taking us to Curtin Street and Williamstown to show Lee and the boys where you lived. My only regret is that you never got to meet Riley. Boy, would you've had some opinions about her. I remember when I was pregnant with her and you, Mummy and Auntie Kazzy were on your cruise. I kept saying to Mummy, please push Nana overboard so I can name the baby Dolly after her. Not very politically correct, however. Although Mummy refused to do that, of course I did, and she doesn't have your name, she really is very much like you, strong-willed, opinionated, not politically correct and at all, not politically correct at all, and says exactly what she thinks, but is so loved by everyone and loves to hold court just like you, and she certainly does. She's quite a character. The time I got to spend with you and Zayda on our numerous trips out there, I will always remember so fondly. I will always look back and laugh how you used to make Zayda schlep the heavy rucksack packed with all the thermos of tea and sandwiches to watch Carlton's every home game. Maybe that's how he got his nickname, Schlapsy Maxi. How you taught me to eat barbecue sausages and a piece of bread, your famous zucchini slices, and how to clean the shower after every use with the windscreen wiper. I loved every minute of all the times I got to spend with you. Lee and I were laughing the other night how in later years you found your love of technology and Facebook. We used to giggle how Lee's friends would message him and say, "Who's Dolly Wainshtein?" She just added me as a friend on Facebook. She didn't have a clue what she was doing, but anyway. Maybe we won't elaborate on the time we were on FaceTime with Lee and he walked out with his towel and you yelled, "Drop the towel." I mean, she was definitely not PC. He loved what a vivacious character you were and how you loved to joke and innuendo. Whenever we say "Sheket b'vakasha" or Riley yells something like that, that sounds like that, we will always think of you. I really hope one day I will get to use the phrase Lee and I will always kill ourselves laughing about when you used to say to the staff at the home, "Remember, I don't work for you, you work for me." I will love and remember you forever. You were one in a million, Nana doll, and my one and only Australian grandmother. As you used to say, love you, Nana, your one and only English granddaughter, Rachel. Right, this is even harder, reading on behalf of my children. Right, Ollie. Mum, Auntie Kaz, Uncle Mark, great Auntie Annie, family and friends. Nana, where do I start? Nana was such a wonderful Nana. Although we were on the other side of the world, literally a world away, whenever I spoke to her or saw her, it felt like no term had passed and that distance never existed. It was always quality time and nothing less than hysterical. Nana always used to ask me to stop making her laugh and always used to say, "Stop it, Ollie, stop it, Ollie. I'm going to pish myself," in her infamous high-pitched voice. I know you've all heard millions of times before. Nana and I had a personal joke. We always used to teach each other and always ended in the phrase, "Nana, Nana, Nana," or "Ollie, Ollie, Ollie, it's a joke, it's a joke." One memory I will never forget was when Nana and Auntie Karen came over to the UK for my wedding. I stayed at Mum's home the night before with them both, and we were all in hysterics, making silly faces with my iPad's camera settings. All of us genuinely couldn't stop crying with laughter. Silly, I'm sure, but one of those memories you treasure forever. May you now be at peace, Nana, with Seda, together again, never forgotten. Love you, Nana, from your only grandson, Oliver.
Oliver, we know something of what you're experiencing as the only grandson because we have the only son sitting in the front row among rows and rows of amazing women. It's okay, we know you're there. As we draw this part of the service to a close, and please turn to page 68. We will complete the memorial prayer in... there's more.
Well, the grandchildren have actually said a lot tonight, which probably more than I've got in mind, but I will say what I need to say. On behalf of Cheryl, Mark and our families, thank you all for joining us this evening to honour our beautiful mother. We all appreciate your love and support. Mum was born on July 31st, 1932 at the Women's Hospital in Carlton. The seventh child to parents Stanley, born in Romania, and her mother Pearl, born in Calcutta, India. Raised in a large family of 4 brothers and 4 sisters in Nicholson Street, East Brunswick, life was tough. Mum would often share stories of her childhood and how difficult it was back then with the Great Depression and World War II, food rationing and the like. Her father was an optometrist by occupation. However, upon arrival to Australia, he was unable to work in his profession and instead became a fruiterer at the Queen Victoria and Dandenong markets. Mum would accompany her dad at the market when he needed an extra pair of hands. For those of you who are not aware, my mum's birth name was Minnie. When she was very little, everyone said she just looked like a doll. Hence, Dolly became her name. For whatever reason, she never changed it legally, and I can remember being told off on many occasions for sharing her real name with my friends. Mum would often tell us stories of her teenage years, taking a tram up Nicholson Street to the Palace Theatre to go to the movies with her girlfriend. Mum only had enough money to pay for the tram fare and theatre ticket. Fortunately, her best friend would buy sweets for them both to share. She later passed on her love of sweets to her grandchildren. Mum's first job was at Bethel's Clothing Manufacturers in Flinders Lane, where she worked as a dressmaker. She later went on to work as a ledger machine operator for the New Zealand Mercantile in the city. Sunday night was the night to go dancing at the Maison de Luxe Dance Hall in Elwood. It was a place to be, and boys, the new sweet treat. There she was asked out by many boys, including a boy named Harry. But without a car of his own at the time, his offer was politely declined. Ironically, he went on to date and eventually marry her younger sister, Anne. Mum and Dad first met at an engagement party. Dad was there with another girl. He was totally unaware that his close friend Laurie had a younger, attractive single sister, Dolly. He didn't waste any time in leaving to take his date home and drive back to the party, only to find Mum and her brother Laurie had left and were on their way home on the tram up Nicholson Street. Dad was not giving up. He caught up with the tram, started hooting the car horn. They ignored this at first, and then started to hear their names being yelled out and more hooting when they discovered it was, in fact, Max. He offered to drive them home, which was hardly on his way home, considering he lived in Williamstown and Mum in East Brunswick. But she took him up on his offer, and the rest is history. They married at East Melbourne Hebrew Congregation on the 24th of February 1954, which coincided with a visit from the Queen. After marrying, they lived with Dad's parents in Newport and then moved to their own home at Melbourne Road, North Williamstown. There by the seaside, they had the three of us. First Cheryl, 2.5 years later myself, and 5 years later, the long-awaited son Mark. Dad worked with his father in the family fruit shop in Douglas Parade, Williamstown, and also traded in the markets. Funnily, Mum and Dad never met through the fruit trade, but it certainly made them a great pair. Dad was a true Aussie sportsman, playing baseball and cricket for Williamstown, the perfect fit and handsome counterpart to his beautiful Dolly. Mum, on the other hand, cooked and cleaned for us and ensured we would never go without food, nor did our beloved Labradors Goldie 1 and Goldie 2. Mum was an avid knitter and dressmaker, sewing clothes and dancing costumes for Cheryl and myself. She would spend hours in her sewing room stitching hundreds of sequins to our costumes. Coming from such a large family, we had many cousins and would often enjoy feast-like dinners which Mum would prepare without complaint. These Sunday night dinners often featured her famous soups, salmon patties and trifles and coleslaws, all still family favourites. Mum also had a weekly ritual, one which has never changed. Mum would visit the hairdresser every Friday or Saturday morning, and I cannot believe in my 65 years I had never seen Mum with a different hairstyle. It was always the same. In 1970, we made the move from Williamstown to East Bentley, mainly to enable the three of us children to be more involved in the Jewish community, as there were only one other Jewish family in Williamstown. When I had my own children, Mum and Dad were always on hand to babysit them. She ensured they were very well fed and taken on many shopping trips. They would sit in her kitchen watching her cook delicious soups and other culinary delights. They would also be schlepped along to visit Mum's sister or cousins for afternoon tea. I think there might have been some sweet treats thrown in there too. After losing Dad in 2008, the love of her life for more than 54 years, she struggled with her mental health until the very end. The fondest memories I have was our Friday routine. hairdresser in the morning, lunch at Glicks, and then preparation of Shabbat dinner, where she would sit on my kitchen bench and share her many life stories with myself, Beck, and Danny. In conclusion, Mum was my rock. I will forever love and miss you, Mum.
Gee, that's a hard act to follow. But here goes. Deep breath. Okay. Well, what can I say about my mother? Plenty. But we don't have all night. So here's just some of my fond memories of my beautiful mother. Mum loved her Carlton Football Club, and when she was a young girl, she would go to the footy at Princes Park with her family. In 1974, she went back to going to the footy with Karen, myself and the Silvermans. This was a weekly tradition. In later years, Jad would also come and join us. We'd always take the thermos and sandwiches for lunch. Nowadays, I go with my Natasha, Vicky and Adam, and I still make the thermos with milk coffee. She loved Carlton right to the end. Carlton is in the Wainshtein DNA. And, of course, Carlton won tonight. In the later years, I enjoyed visiting Mum at Estia and then going to Malvern Central for a coffee and a cake, a vanilla slice, or what Mum would call a snot slice. It was her favourite. Since Mum was in Regis, I've missed going out with Mum for a coffee, but at Regis we'd go downstairs to the cafe and have a coffee, and I would bring her a cake. If I got to bring a cake, she wasn't happy, and she told me that very clearly. Mum would love a bargain. It didn't matter if it was food or clothing. If it was on special, Mum would buy it. Once I was married, she would often ring me or Gloria and tell me about the specials. Mum would give Dad the shopping list for the fruit and veggies that Dad would go to the Victoria Market every Saturday. That was Dad's tradition. Dad would always buy more food that was on Mum's list. For example, this would be the list. 1 kilo of beans would equal 2 kilos of beans. 1 kilo of bananas would equal 2 kilos of bananas. 1 lettuce, 2 lettuce, so on and so on. That would be the pattern of Dad's shopping. When Dad would get home, Mum would see all the extra food and wasn't happy. "Why, Max?" And Dad's reply, "It was on special." So that was why there was so much fresh food in the Wainshtein household. As a child, I was a fussy eater. Some would say I still am. Very occasionally, and I would say that very clearly, very occasionally, I would come home from school and suss out what was for dinner. And if it was something that I didn't like, quite often I would suppose, I would pretend that I wasn't well and Mum would tell me to go to bed and rest. I would then have a sleep and do whatever I wanted in my room and wait till dinner was over. Then I would come out of my room and Mum would ask how I was feeling and I would just say, "A bit better." She would then make me a Vegemite sandwich. Mission accomplished. Gee, I was good. Another one of my tricks for my dislike of food is to give Goldie my dislike food under the table when Mum wasn't watching or if the phone would ring. She would then say that Mark was a good boy for eating all these dinner. I don't know why Goldie was a big dog and would always sit near me and wait for my food. Cheryl and Karen would give me a dirty look. I might have been the youngest and smartest when it came to eating, but boy, did I love Goldie. Many years ago, Mum had to take me to the city to one of my many medical appointments. Some things don't change with age. So Mum parked in a side street near Ormond Station. On our return, Mum had to do a 180-degree turn, and in the reversing part, she backed into a tree. I don't know how she did that. So when Mum had to tell Dad what happened, this was Mum's version to Dad. The tree wasn't there this morning. Dad wasn't happy. Mum hated reversing a car. It was also a wonderful joy seeing Mum so happy. Being with her grandchildren, she loved knitting baby clothes for Natasha, Simone and Samantha. And when I was younger, she also knitted me beautiful jumpers, even in my 20s. Mum loved it when the grandchildren visited her, and in later years, Simone would bring Raven, and she loved that. She always loved dogs. And here are some of my favourite quotes from Mum, and trust me, there was many to choose from. Who was the best baby? I was, but was the worst toddler and child growing up, and maybe my teenage years. Oh, forgot about that. My favourite Sunday ritual was having Glicks bagels, gefilte fish, cold meat, salads over brunch, and while watching World of Sports on TV. And those were the days. And finally, my favourite quote. If ever I got into trouble, which was hardly ever, as I was a saint. Isn't that right, Cheryl and Karen? She'd utter the dreaded words, "Wait till your father comes home." I love you, Mum, and you'll always be missed by all of us so dearly. You can now rest in peace with Dad. Love you, Mum.
The wonderful thing about the Shiva process is that the stories don't stop. This is just the beginning of the opening of the memories that have been locked away for such a long time. And for those of you who have your own experiences of Dolly over the years, and Anne, I'm sure you have more than most. You've had her the longest, and she was your immediately bigger sister. So whichever treasured memories you've got, now's the time to share them with the family in the next few days, and particularly before Sharon goes back. When do you go back, Sharon? 3 weeks today. She expects the house to be tidy when she comes home. Let's draw the service to a close. On page 68. Is there anyone in the family who's got the genealogy gene? There's usually somebody that likes doing family trees. You've got the papers. So if you've got a copy of the Ketubah or a reference from East Melbourne Shul, you'll know the Hebrew name with which Mum was married. It's a bit of a worry to find out your parents didn't get married properly. So this has been an ongoing conversation about what was Pearl's Hebrew name. And apparently, this is a detail that's been lost in the mists of time, but I invite anyone who is interested in finding out to go back to the record at East Melbourne Shul, and whatever it was that Reverend Sher wrote on the Ketubah that day, there'll be something. There'll be something. Not yours either. It's a challenge, isn't it? And oftentimes Pearl appears in Hebrew as Margalit and sometimes as Shoshana, which is incorrect because Shoshana means lily. But that's another story for another day. On page 68, we rise. You see there's a little blank line there. To our loved one, blank line. I know there are lots and lots of names that go into that blank line, and we've heard many of them tonight. To our loved one Dolly, who has entered eternity, grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold her in the embrace of your wings. Secure her soul in eternity. O God, she is yours. May she rest at peace. And that is the translation of El Malarachim, which I'll chant now. El Malarachamim, Shochen Bamaromim, Hamtze Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Otaharim, Kezoar Haraki Hamasirim Et Nishmat, Miriam, Bat Yisrael the Pearl, Shehalcha Le'olama, Baal Arachamim, Yastirea Beseter Kanafav Le'olamim, Bitzror Achayim, Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, V'tanuach Bashalom, Harishkava, V'nomar, and let us say, Amen. While we're standing, we conclude the service with Aleinu and then Mourner's Kaddish. We turn to the top of page 72 and then we will continue on the top of page 75. We read together. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, ברוך הוא. The top of page 75, we read in English together. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. And may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. The Eternal One will reign forever and ever. Bayom hahu yihya Adonai echad u'shemo echad. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 84. And before the family offer this Kaddish in memory of Miriam Bat Yisrael the Pearl, we link together the names of Max and Harry, of those we have all loved and lost, and in particular, those who have been victims of violence wherever it has been experienced throughout the world. And we say in honour of those who have died, Yit Gadal Ve'yit Kadash Shmei Rabbah Ve'alma Divara Chirotei Ve'yamlich Malchutei V'chayechon U'v'yomechon V'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'vizman Hariv Ve'imru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam U'le'almei Almaya Yit Barach V'yit Dabach, V'yit Pa'ar, V'yit Romam, V'yit Naseh, V'yit Adar, V'yit Aleh, V'yit Alal, Shmei Kudesha, Berichu, Ne'ela min kol ir chata v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, Da amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shelama rabba min shemaya החיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, עשה שלום במרובה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, Amen. May God, the source of peace, send peace to all who mourn and comfort this family in its bereavement. We wish them no further sorrow and the consolation of good friends and loved ones around them. May there be many more flights between here and the UK so that that connection isn't lost. And may you gain great love and reassurance from being together at this time of loss. I offer you the words of the traditional consolation. המקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שאר אבלי ציון וירושלים. May you be comforted among the mourners of Zion and Yerushalayim. That concludes the service, everybody. Please spend some time presenting your condolences and thank you for your attendance.